Hi, I'm Katherine Ashmore and welcome to the Mindset Exchange. Have you ever wondered how much control is too much control or wanted mastery over every single little detail? Join me in today's episode where I discuss control and perfectionism and the mindset around it. Get ready to explore how control and perfectionism can be both our allies and our adversaries in a quest for excellence. Here goes. Hi everyone, today I'm going to dive into a topic that has come up in the first couple of guest episodes. It may hit home for a lot of us. It's about the role of control and perfectionism in our lives. Now, I'd love to say that I haven't ever needed to have control in my life or ever been a perfectionist, but I have, especially in my 20s. I've been there. None of us are perfect, if you pardon the pun. And I hope that this episode will help and resonate with some of you. So grab some water or a cuppa, get comfy, and let's chat about why we feel the need to be in control and why chasing perfectionism can sometimes do us more harm than good. First off, I'm going to talk briefly about control. Just as a side note, I'm not going to delve into the historical reasons as to why we need to feel in control, but it's clear to say that feeling in control gives us a sense of security, right? Think about it. When you have a plan and everything's going smoothly, life feels pretty manageable. But here's the thing. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much we try to plan and organise, there are always going to be things that are thrown at us, and that's where the stress comes in. We're so focused on controlling every little detail, we set ourselves up for disappointment when things don't go according to plan. Now, don't get me wrong, having control over some aspects of our lives is important. It helps us feel grounded and can even boost our confidence. But the problem arises when we try to control things that are out of our hands. You can't control other people's actions, what they say about you as a parent, or sometimes even your own health. Learning to let go of what you can't control can be a game changer. Easier said than done, I know, but it's worth trying. Okay, moving on to perfectionism. Perfectionism is the trait or tendency to demand of others or of oneself an extremely high or even flawless level of performance in excess of what is required by the situation. It can be like that frenemy that's always hanging around, whispering in your ear that nothing you do is ever good enough. It pushes you to strive for the best, but it also makes you beat yourself up over the smallest mistake. It's that voice that says, you could have done better, even when you've given it your all. The thing is, perfectionism can paralyse us, and that's when we procrastinate. According to Metten and Peters in 2016, 25% of all adults procrastinate in the workplace. There are many reasons for this, but we can get so caught up in making everything perfect that we end up doing nothing at all. It's like standing at the edge of a diving board, too scared to jump because you're worried about making the perfect splash. But sometimes you've just got to jump and make a messy splash, and that's where the growth mindset and real growth happen. Perfectionism can also impact our relationships. When we're too hard on ourselves, we can be too hard on others too. We might expect them to meet our high standards, and when they don't, we get frustrated. It's a cycle that can lead to a lot of stress and tension. Let me give you an example. I'll just use a random name. Let's say Dan, which I plucked out of the air. Dan is a successful entrepreneur known for his attention to detail and high standards. While his perfectionism has helped him build a thriving business, it has also strained his relationships with his employees who feel unable to meet his exacting standards. He struggles to delegate tasks, he fears that they won't be done right, and then feels overwhelmed and annoyed that his team aren't doing what they could be doing. He may also have symptoms of imposter phenomenon. This leads to micromanagement and difficulty trusting others. However, after asking for and receiving feedback from his employees, Dan went on to leadership training and life coaching sessions to improve his communication and delegation skills. He learned to trust his team more and acknowledged that perfection is not always necessary for success. By letting go of some control and being more collaborative, there was a harmonious and more transparent culture in his business. Now, this example could be relevant of so many people we see in life and is a common reason for strained relationships. The other issue is when we are in a work culture or environment that encourages perfectionist tendencies. There are many roles where having attention to detail, working under pressure, having high levels of responsibility, and a focus on quality are needed for success. Like everything, it's all about balance. Control and perfectionism can affect our mental health. When we're constantly striving to be perfect and control every aspect of our lives, it can lead to anxiety and burnout. We're essentially setting ourselves up for failure because perfection is an impossible standard. No one can meet it, not even the most successful people. They all have their flaws or failures, but they don't let them define them. So, how can we deal with perfectionist tendencies? One way is to practice self-compassion, understanding that making mistakes and facing setbacks are part of being human. It's okay to aim high, but remember to acknowledge your achievements along the way. Another way is to focus on the progress you make, not perfection itself. Ask yourself this: am I better than I was yesterday? Instead of, am I perfect today? It's all about mini steps. When things don't go to plan, rather than seeing it as a failure, try to see it as a learning opportunity instead. Now let's think about social media for a second. We often only see the highlight reels of other people's lives and what they have, etc. Is it based on reality? Or is it what they've chosen to project? It's easy to think that everyone else has it all together, but that's just not true. Everyone has their struggles, and no one's life is perfect, or as perfect as it might appear. This is what they have wished to project. The danger of comparison is an evil beast. Try and park it. It's important to remind ourselves of this and not compare our behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. Speaking of comparisons, let's talk about that for a bit. Comparing ourselves to others is a sure way to feel inadequate. It's human nature to look at what others are doing and measure ourselves against them, but it's also a trap. It's a distraction and takes you away from what you could be doing. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has their unique set of strengths and challenges. So instead of comparing, try focusing on your own progress and what you've accomplished. Remember what you've done well and celebrate your own milestones. Another important aspect is learning to embrace uncertainty. Life is full of unknowns, and that's what can make it both exciting and sometimes scary. But trying to control everything can take away the joy of living. It's like reading that last page of a book first because you can't stand the suspense. You might know how it ends, but you've missed the entire journey. Getting used to uncertainty means being okay with not knowing what happens next and trusting you can handle whatever comes your way. Being aware of your thoughts and behaviours is crucial to managing control and perfectionism. Pay attention when you feel the need to take control or when you're being overly critical of yourself. Catch your inner critic early and ask yourself, is this something I need to control or can I let it go? Or, is this situation realistic or am I setting myself up for unnecessary stress? Perfectionism can impact everyone. And if you watched my previous episode on sleep, you will have heard sleep expert Dr. Michelle raising the point that many high achievers are so used to controlling so many aspects of their lives, sleep is one of the things that they can't control. It's out of their hands. So thinking about high achievers, let's talk about that for a minute. High achievers tend to be very self-disciplined and motivated, which are great traits, but can also lead to a lot of self-imposed pressure. The desire to excel and the fear of failure can create a strong need to control outcomes. They may believe that by controlling every aspect of a project or task, they can ensure success, and by extension, their own success. High achievers can also thrive on feedback and validation. Who doesn't like being told you're great every now and then when you've worked hard? When they receive praise, it reinforces their perfectionist tendencies. They come to expect a high level of performance from themselves all the time, which feeds into this cycle of stress and constant striving. In competitive environments or certain work cultures, the pressure to stand out can exacerbate these tendencies. This might be because the workplace can be full of high expectations, or there is a lack of trust, or it exacerbates that feeling of fear to feed back, or simply a place where perfectionism is rewarded. There is a balance of being in it to win it and being seen versus burnout. Many feel the need to be perfect to stay ahead or to be recognised for their efforts. This then also feeds into the fear of making mistakes or showing any sign of perceived weakness, which fuels the need for control and perfectionism. Understanding these tendencies can help you find healthier ways to manage your goals and expectations. It's okay to be ambitious and driven, but it's also crucial to recognise when these traits are becoming detrimental to your well-being and when to work on your personal development. One practical tip is to set realistic goals and expectations. Instead of setting the bar impossibly high, try setting goals that are challenging yet achievable. It's okay if things don't go perfectly. Sometimes imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. I'll say that again. Sometimes imperfect action is better than perfect inaction, especially when feeling overwhelmed. When feeling stressed or anxious, mindfulness can help you stay present and reduce the anxiety that comes with trying to control what's going on around you. It's not nonsense, there is actually science behind it. Simple practices like deep breathing or taking a pause and noticing your surroundings can make a difference and reduce your adrenaline response and cortisol levels. While on the subject, let's talk about the importance of seeking help if needed. If you find that control and perfectionism are significantly impacting your life, it might be helpful to talk to a life coach, counsellor, or therapist who can provide strategies and support to help you manage these tendencies and improve your overall well-being. There are actually times when control and perfectionism can be your friends. While I've mentioned the downsides, these traits can also be helpful. First, let's look at control. Having a certain level of control can be empowering. It can help you stay organised and be on top of your responsibilities. You know what's happening and when. For example, being on top of your diary or schedule can make you more productive and efficient. It can also give a sense of accomplishment when you see plans coming together and a to-do list going down. The key here is to find a healthy balance, controlling the things you can and letting go of the rest. Similarly, perfectionism, when channeled correctly, can help drive you to achieve great things. It can motivate you to strive for excellence and push your boundaries. For example, if you're working on a project that requires a high level of detail and precision, a touch of perfectionism can ensure you produce top quality work and on time. The trick is to be smart about it. Set realistic standards in achievable times and recognize when good enough is good enough. Excellence and perfection are not the same thing. Excellence is about doing the best with the resources you have, while perfection can often ignore those practical limits. Perfectionism can also foster resilience and persistence. When you're committed to doing something well, you're more likely to stick at it through setbacks or challenges. This kind of determination can be really powerful in achieving long-term goals. And in certain fields and situations, perfectionism can be a bonus. A perfectionist's eye for detail can be valuable. Just think about surgery, architecture, or aviation, where precision is just not preferred but also necessary. So how can we use the positive aspects of control and perfectionism without falling into their traps? Here are a few more tips. Set boundaries. Know when to switch off your perfectionist tendencies. Identify the areas where it's essential to be on it and the ones where you can be more relaxed. And celebrate your success. Take time to acknowledge when you do things well. This helps reinforce a positive mindset and retrain the brain. It helps reduce the constant pressure to do more. Learning to delegate isn't always easy for everyone, but remember, you don't have to do everything yourself. Try to trust others to take on tasks and bring their own strengths to the table. Accepting any imperfections is part of life. See them as opportunities to learn. And seek feedback. If you welcome constructive feedback from those you respect, or supervisors or colleagues, you can use it to learn and grow. Challenge your thinking, especially if it's any extreme thinking. Reframing an all or nothing viewpoint can be really helpful. Is it being constructive or realistic? Is it being fair to yourself? Could good enough be sufficient? Sometimes it can be easy to get lost in the detail so that you lose sight of the overall goal sometimes. So keep reminding yourself of the bigger picture and why you're doing what you're doing. Just remember to be kind to yourself. Practice self-compassion. You're human and it's okay to have off days. Treat yourself with the same kindness you would to a friend. So, to wrap things up, think of control as that strong urge for things to go a certain way and perfectionism as the constant pursuit of flawless results. Both control and perfectionism have their perks and pitfalls. While they can be powerful motivators when used wisely, they can also become stressors if taken to extremes. The trick is to find that sweet spot where you're driven to do your best without overly criticising yourself for every little mistake. Nobody's perfect. Perfection just doesn't exist. Everyone's notion of perfection is different and subjective. We're all simply striving to do and be the best we can. And let me say this, you all have your gifts and talents that make you unique. The world sometimes makes it hard to remember this, but even if it's a mantra you say to yourself every day, you are unique and talented. Keep strong in yourself. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Mindset Exchange. Your support means the world to me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you rate, leave a review and subscribe to the podcast to ensure you never miss an episode. If you want to continue this conversation or share your takeaways, head on over to my Instagram at Katherine Ashmore __ and comment on your favourite part. Remember, if you need support with any of the themes covered today or in previous episodes, don't hesitate to contact me. My details are in the blurb. Next week, I'll be joined by Lynn Margolis, discussing authenticity and the balance of being a creative with running a business. I can't wait to continue this journey with you and for you to tune in next time.